My name is Morgan Ingram. I'm 32 years old, and I work as an ER nurse while also being a single mother. 3 weeks. At my sister's wedding, amidst a gathering of 200 guests, she took hold of the microphone and remarked, "My sister is a single mother, rejected by everyone." The room erupted in laughter. My mother interjected from her table. "She's been through some experiences." My father concealed his lips pressed together to conceal his grin. Ethan, my 5-year-old son, sat close beside me, his tiny hand firmly clasping mine. His eyes were filled with bewilderment as he observed the laughter directed at his mother. Yet there was one individual who did not chuckle. What he did next transformed everything. Before I share the rest, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you truly wish to hear this story unfold. From where are you tuning in? What is it? What time is it over there? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. To grasp how events unfolded to that point, at this juncture, it is essential for me to begin anew. As I navigated my childhood in our 4-bedroom colonial nestled in Greenwich, Connecticut, I quickly discovered that there existed two distinct kinds of daughters within the Ingram household: the royal maiden and the steadfast laborer. Vivian held the title of princess. 4 years younger, blonde like our mother, possessing an effortless charm that caused teachers to overlook tardiness tasks and young men overlook other females. From the moment she took her first steps, she was her father's cherished little angel and her mother's pride. Little version of myself. I was the one who took on the responsibility, which in the Ingram family meant I was the one who thrived in solitude, managing everything independently without seeking the spotlight. When prom arrived, Vivian received a $500 a Sherry Hill gown in a delicate blush pink, adorned with intricate hand beading, the sort that left others breathless as she entered the venue. When my prom arrived 2 years ago, my mother peered at me over her reading glasses and remarked, "Morgan, you don't require much. That simplicity fits you well." I donned a dress I found on the clearance rack at Macy's, $63. The price is etched in my memory, as I had diligently saved my babysitting earnings to purchase it on my own. The narratives of our bedrooms unfolded. Also, Vivian occupied the corner room, featuring a balcony that offered a picturesque view of the garden. The space was adorned with white furniture and twinkling fairy lights delicately strung across. The ceiling resembled a scene straight from a magazine. My room was situated at the far end of the hall, adjacent to the utility closet, adorned with cherished heirlooms from our grandmother's estate. I held no animosity towards Vivian for any of it. How might I? She was merely a child, reaping the rewards of a system she had no hand in creating. Yet, in the stillness of the night, I found myself pondering the choices I had made. Incorrect. What essential imperfection resided within me that caused my own parents to seem justified by my means? I was unaware at that time that this pattern would accompany me right up to her wedding day. I encountered Kevin when I was 24. In my second year serving as an ER nurse at Hartford General, he worked as a pharmaceutical sales representative. Charismatic, self-assured, the type of man who made you feel as though you were the sole focus in a bustling crowd. A year later, we exchanged vows. My parents were present at the wedding, yet they devoted the majority of the reception to discussing Vivian's forthcoming internship at a renowned public relations agency located in Manhattan. My mother always said she was destined for great things, informing the attendees. Both my daughters are thriving, but Vivian, she truly stands out. Extraordinary. At my own wedding reception, the union fell apart more swiftly than I ever anticipated. Kevin possessed a remarkable talent for diminishing my worth, doubting my decisions, scrutinizing my looks, separating me from my friends. By the time I found out he was involved with his regional manager, I was already 7 months along. I was expecting a child and felt as though I had lost much of my identity. The divorce reached its conclusion when Ethan was just 14 months old. I found myself at the age of 27, isolated, toiling through the night as my son rested at a daycare that billed by the hour. The reaction of my mother to the news. A deep breath escaped, accompanied by the words, I always feared you weren't aware of how to maintain a. The man was filled with joy. Vivian would never allow such a thing to occur in her life. My father remained silent. He simply didn't. Throughout the entire ordeal, Vivian sent me a single text. That's unfortunate, but to be honest, I consistently choose the wrong men. Consider exploring therapy. No assistance provided. No verification in on Ethan. No recognition that I was sinking beneath the surface. I had no use for their sympathy. Each night as I warmed up instant noodles following a grueling 12-hour shift, I reminded myself of this, with Ethan peacefully sleeping in his crib. In our small one-bedroom apartment, I simply wished for them to cease viewing my suffering as a source of amusement. Daniel Mercer made an appearance 2 years prior to the wedding. Vivian encountered him at a charity gala, a formal black tie affair aimed at supporting children in need of care. He was an attorney dedicated to children's rights, the type who willingly took on pro bono cases for families in need. The mother had forget secure representation. Charming in a subtle manner, possessing gentle eyes and a tendency to genuinely pay attention when individuals conversed. Our initial encounter took place during a family dinner at my parents' home. Vivian had been in a relationship with him for 3 months had passed, and I was eager to showcase him. He grasped my hand firmly, his gaze catching Ethan lurking in the shadows. I positioned myself behind my legs and swiftly lowered myself to the boy's height. "Hello there, I really like your dinosaur shirt. Could that be a T-Rex?" Ethan had radiated joy. No one in his family had ever given him that level of attention. During the course of the dinner, I noticed Daniel observing the family interactions through a lawyer's keen perspective. My mother had a knack for steering every discussion back to Vivian. The manner in which my father chuckled at Vivian's jokes yet hardly seemed to notice mine. The manner in which I instinctively tidied up the dishes while Vivian sat quietly, her eyes focused on her phone. As I was loading my car later on, Daniel appeared beside me. "Is your family always like that with you?" he inquired softly. I was taken aback, nearly letting Ethan's diaper bag slip from my grasp. As if. "What?" "It's as if you're invisible." I managed to laugh. "That's simply the way we are. Vivian's the star, I'm merely the supporting cast." He didn't laugh, just nodded slowly, something inscrutable in his expression. "You're a wonderful mother," he remarked. "Ethan is fortunate to have you." Then he stepped back inside. I couldn't grasp why those words caused my eyes to water. Or for weeks afterward, I found myself replaying that brief conversation in my mind. The wedding invitation arrived, in a luxurious cream envelope adorned with exquisite gold calligraphy, its substantial weight lending it an air of regal authority, reminiscent of a royal summons rather than a mere invitation. Vivian Marie Ingram and Daniel James Mercer cordially invite you to join them. The setting will be the Carril, a luxurious hotel in Manhattan featuring a grand ballroom that has welcomed senators, celebrities, and even a European royal event, attended by 200 guests with an estimated budget of $150,000, supported me completely. To provide some background, when I tied the knot, my parents contributed precisely $2,000 and lamented about it for months afterward. The invitation arrived with conditions. Vivian reached out to me 2 weeks prior to the wedding. "Morgan, I need to discuss some things." "Of course. What's on your mind?" "Are you ready?" "To start, please choose an outfit that is subtle. Stick to pastels or neutrals only. I prefer to keep the spotlight on myself." I had intended to don a deep green dress that I had been saving for this occasion. "All right, That's possible." She hesitated for a moment. "Is it really necessary to bring Ethan? He's only 5. He might become difficult and spoil the ceremony." "Vivian, I lack anyone to observe him. Kevin's absent from the scene. And sure, she severed our connection, but hold on to him. Remain calm, and you'll find yourself at a table in the rear, allowing you to address him swiftly should he create a disturbance." The morning of the wedding, my mother called. "Morgan, I've spoken with the event coordinator. You and the boy are at table 23 by the service entrance. Let's keep it low-key. It's Vivian's day, and we must eliminate any distractions. Distractions. That's what my 5-year-old son was to them. I should have noticed it back then. The arrangement, the positioning, the meticulous arrangement of my embarrassment. Yet, I refrained. I merely yearned to endure the day. The Carril ballroom was stunning. Towering ceilings adorned with crystal chandeliers adorned with elegance, white roses cascading gracefully from every surface. A string quartet serenades the atmosphere. Vivaldi plays softly in the corner. A wedding reminiscent of those featured in bridal magazines, the kind that prompts guests to whisper about how fortunate the couple must be. I donned a dove-gray cocktail dress that I had discovered on sale. Unassuming, easily overlooked, precisely what Vivian had requested. Ethan appeared charming in his small navy vest and khakis, hair perfectly styled, grasping my hand as we stepped into the breathtaking splendor. "Mommy, it's so beautiful," he whispered, eyes wide. "It truly is, darling. Let's locate our table." Table 23 was precisely where my mother had assured me it would be. Nestled in the distant corner, partially concealed by a pillar, in close proximity to the kitchen doors, I could hear the catering staff barking commands. The other guests at our table. At the table sat distant cousins I had encountered perhaps twice throughout my life. None from my immediate family arrived to welcome us. I observed as my parents made their splendid entrance, my mother adorned in champagne Valentino, my father dressed in a flawlessly fitted Armani suit. They crafted the room filled with politicians, embracing one another, sharing laughter and graciously receiving compliments about their stunning daughter, unique in her own right. Daughter. Vivian made her entrance half an hour later, adorned in a Vera Wang gown that likely came with a hefty price tag. Than my annual rent. She was radiant, glowing, every inch the princess she had always dreamed of being. Always been. Her gaze met mine from across the room. She smiled, yet it radiated warmth, a smile that spoke of victory, inviting you to share in the triumph. As she made her way to the head table, she paused at ours. "Morgan, you came." "Of course I did." "Came. You're my sister." She shot a look at Ethan before turning back to me. "Just remember what I mentioned regarding silencing him." Then she vanished, engulfed by the throng of admirers. A notification flickered on my mother's phone. Left. Was aware of the plan lingering in my mind. My stomach tightened as I glanced at the nearby table. I reassured myself it was inconsequential. The ceremony unfolded with grace. Vivian shed tears softly. Her tears were perfect as she exchanged vows with Daniel. My parents radiated joy from the front. Observed the scene unfolding before me. The guests, with their elegant attire, gently wiped away tears with their personalized handkerchiefs. I remained seated at the back, cradling Ethan on my lap, and attempted to long to experience something beyond emptiness. As the cocktail hour unfolded, the photographer assembled the family for portraits. I began to rise, adjusting my dress, when my mother emerged with a strained smile. Only the immediate family was present. "For this set, Morgan, parents of the bride. I'm her sister. We're creating a first. We focus on the smaller grouping. Do you grasp that?" I did, and I always have. Ethan tugged at my sleeve. "Mommy, why can't we be in the picture?" "We'll take our own pictures later, sweetheart. Smile for the camera, Mommy." I raised my phone and captured a photo of him, attempting to push aside the sting in my eyes. At the reception, I observed from our distant table as aunts and uncles, figures familiar to me throughout my life, made their way toward the head table. Extend your congratulations to Vivian and Daniel. However, it's worth noting that none of them took a moment to greet me. "Morgan, is that you?" Aunt Linda, my mother's sister, halted briefly on her way to the bar. She appeared uneasy. "I nearly missed you back here." "The seating charts. How creative," I remarked, infusing my tone with a playful brightness. She looked over. She glanced toward the head table, then returned her gaze to me. A fleeting expression of guilt crossed her features. "Patricia has always had her own tastes. I apologize, dear." Before I could say anything, she vanished. I observed Mike, Daniel's friend, positioned his phone on a small tripod at the dance floor's edge, directing it toward the stage. Perhaps I was live streaming for family members who were unable to be there. At the time, it didn't cross my mind. I had no inkling that the phone would emerge as the pivotal witness to the unfolding events. The sound of silverware clinking against crystal hushed the room. The MC, a refined gentleman clad in a three-piece suit, approached the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, the bride wishes to share a few thoughts." Applause echoed through the ballroom as Vivian stood up from her seat, glowing in the radiance of numerous spotlights enveloped her. With a confident grace, she grasped the microphone, her Cartier bracelet shimmering in the illumination. "Thank you all for gathering here," she began, her voice dripping with warmth. "This is the happiest day of my life, and I feel immense gratitude to share it with all my loved ones." She smiled at Daniel, who was watching, her with an expression that eluded my understanding. "To begin, I must express my gratitude to my amazing parents. Mom, Dad, you've received everything from you. Your love, your support, your unwavering belief in me. I am who I am due to you." My mother placed a hand over her heart, tears beginning to as I formed my thoughts. My father nodded with pride. "I feel compelled to discuss family," Vivian continued, her tone evolving subtly, reflecting on the true essence of family. "About the insights I've gained from observing those around me." Her gaze scanned the space and settled on the warmth in her expression faded, particularly towards my sister. Ethan brightened up. Next to me. "Mommy, Aunt Viv is discussing you." "I understand, sweetheart. Shh." Yet there was something in Vivian's smile that sent a chill through my veins. It lacked warmth. It wasn't gratitude. It was anticipation. "Morgan, would you mind standing up?" Vivian called out, her voice echoing off the chandeliers. "I want everyone to see you." 200 faces turned toward us. At the corner table, my legs felt as though they were encased in concrete, yet I managed to stand. Ethan gazed at me, a look of confusion on his face. "There she is," Vivian remarked, her smile brightening the moment. "Expanding." My older sister, the one who imparted countless invaluable lessons about life. "My sister Morgan is a single mother." The words lingered in the atmosphere, precise and intentional. A handful of guests squirmed in their seats. Vivian's smile remained steadfast. She entered into marriage at a young age, had a baby, and then, well, things took an unexpected turn. She tilted her head in feigned compassion. Her husband departed from her life. I suppose it was too much to bear. At this moment, she finds herself in solitude. Uneven bursts of nervous laughter echoed through the crowd. My cheeks burned with heat. "My sister is unwanted," Vivian lamented, her voice dripping with dramatic flair. "No one desires her." Well, can you really fault them? She's carrying a lot now. A child, expenses, all of that. Chaos. More laughter. More assertive this time. A handful of Vivian's sorority sisters out of the table close by erupted in laughter, their glasses of champagne sparkling in the light. I was paralyzed, gasping for air. From the head table, the sound of my mother's voice resonated with clarity. "She's an item with a history." The room burst into chaos. 200 people in fits of laughter. My mother's joyous laughter ringing out. My father stifling his chuckles, shoulders shaking with mirth, quivering with suppressed laughter. I gazed down at Ethan. His petite visage was enveloped in bewilderment, his gaze flitting between me and the mirthful assembly. "Mother." His voice was minuscule, filled with fear. "What is it that has everyone in stitches at your expense?" I was unable to provide a response. My throat felt constricted. Entirely, I noticed the notes in Vivian's grasp, then typed, "Ready. Practiced." This was not an off-the-cuff jest. This was meticulously orchestrated, a carefully crafted assault, veiled as a wedding address. Do you recall what Vivian mentioned? Surfing on the crest of joy? Morgan imparted an important insight. She illustrated precisely how to steer clear of the pitfalls in my life. I truly owe her my gratitude. She lifted her, the champagne glass is raised toward me. To Morgan, a story of warning. The visitors lifted their spectacles. A few continued to chuckle. Some appeared uneasy yet remained silent. My 5-year-old son observed. His mother turned into a joke. Vivian had more to say. Throughout my childhood, it was a common question posed by many, why Morgan and I were remarkably distinct. She placed her champagne down, moving across the stage with the grace of a performer, finding her rhythm. Identical guardians, identical residents, equal chances. However, Vivian triumphed. And Morgan, on the other hand, she made a vague gesture toward me. I once carried a sense of guilt regarding it. Poor Morgan, perpetually battling. Poor Morgan, unable to hold on to a man. Poor Morgan, trapped in that melancholy apartment reflecting her melancholic existence. My mother nodded in agreement, gently wiping at her eyes. Yet they were not tears of compassion, they were tears of joy. But then I realized, Vivian continued, some people are just meant to serve as warnings, not as examples. And my sister, she is the finest caution I could ever hope for. Applause. Genuine applause. I experienced Ethan's grip on my hand grew firmer. His entire body shook with tremors. Mommy, I want to go, he murmured, his voice trembling. I understand, darling, I understand. Yet my legs remained still. I found myself paralyzed, crushed beneath the burden of 200 scrutinizing gazes, my mother's harsh laughter, the father's silent complicity. This was the lowest point. I believed this to be the nadir. I acknowledge my mistake. Vivian lifted her glass once more. To be honest, my mom has a point. Morgan is a pre-owned item, flawed merchandise. But hey, she shrugged dramatically, purity. At least she's present to witness the conclusion of a genuine success narrative. The laughter grew louder. Subsequently, there was a shift from the head table. Daniel slid his chair away from the table. His jawline felt constricted. His gaze was locked onto Ethan's tiny, trembling figure nestled against my side. For a brief instant, I believed he was leaving, walking out on his own wedding. Instead, he strode purposefully toward the approaching Vivian, moving closer to the microphone. The laughter wavered, then passed away. None could foresee the impending events, myself included. Daniel advanced with intent. His polished Oxford shoes echoed against the marble floor, breaking the sudden silence. The string quartet possessed ceased participation. Guests halted in their sips, laughter, and whispers. Vivian's a confident smile danced across their lips. Daniel, darling, what are you? He remained silent, did not even glance at her. His gaze was fixed on our table, focused intently on Ethan. My son had interred his face pressed against my hip, his tiny shoulders trembling with unspoken grief. He couldn't grasp the reason behind everyone's laughter directed at his mother. He simply understood the pain. Daniel observed that, and something within his expression solidified, becoming as unyielding as steel. With 6 purposeful strides, he arrived at the stage. Vivian clutched the microphone tightly, her smile caught in a moment of bewilderment. Daniel, please take a seat. Lower. I'm not finished with my... He took the microphone from her hand. Not grabbed, not snatched. Just calmly. He took it from her grasp with a decisive motion, akin to taking away a perilous item from a young one. Daniel! Vivian's voice rose sharply, filled with alarm. What are you up to? The grand ballroom had fallen utterly quiet. 200 individuals suspended in silence, each holding their breath. I beheld my mother. She rose halfway from her seat, her expression shifting through confusion, anger, and trepidation. Daniel brought the microphone closer, poised to speak. My sincerest apologies for the interruption, he stated, his tone unwavering and distinct. However, there is something I require to say. He glanced in my direction. Truly gaze upon me, neither by me nor beyond me, but straight at me. He then pivoted to confront the audience. For the past 2 years observing the way this family interacts with Morgan Ingram, 2 years of dinners marked by her silence. 2 years of vacations where she is left out. For 2 years, I have witnessed her being treated as if she were less than nothing by those who are meant to cherish her. Vivian seized his arm. "Daniel, please cease. You're making me feel quite awkward." He withdrew from her caress. "Actually, Vivian, that was entirely your doing." Daniel's voice resonated throughout the quiet ballroom, unwavering like a final plea in a courtroom. "I advocate for the rights of children. I have devoted my professional life to safeguarding children from familial trauma, shielding them from harmful environments, and defending them against adults who should know better. Understand more." He gestured to our table, indicating Ethan, who remained nestled against my leg, quivering slightly. "That a young boy has reached the age of 5. 5, and you had him witness the laughter of 200 adults." Toward his mother. "You referred to her as undesirable. You referred to her as damaged goods. You summoned me. It is a pre-owned item." His voice trembled with barely restrained anger in front of the young one. Stillness. Complete and utter silence envelops the surroundings. My mother's face had turned ashen. My father gazed intently at his plate. "I have dedicated my entire existence to battling this very form of cruelty," Daniel continued. "And I will not. I cannot become part of a family that imposes—" He shifted his gaze to Vivian. She stood still, her flawless makeup now appearing harsh under the unforgiving glare illuminated her meticulously constructed mask, disintegrating before our eyes. "Daniel, please," she whispered, the microphone capturing each word with clarity. "You are overreacting? It was merely a joke." "A joke?" His laughter rang empty. "You have made arrangements, This was practiced by you. You transformed your sister's suffering into a source of amusement." He withdrew from her, forming a palpable divide in the space that once connected them. "I'm afraid I cannot marry you, Vivian. I shall not." The collective exhalation from 200 guests resonated throughout the space. Additionally, Daniel's. Her gaze landed on Mike's phone, still capturing moments from its steady perch on the tripod. "My cousin Mike has been—" "We are broadcasting this reception live for our family members in California, who are unable to be here with us. Approximately 50 individuals have observed the precise type of family I nearly became a part of." He placed the microphone gently on the surface, upon the stage with a gentle thump. "I apologize for the interruption to your evening," he remarked to the astonished guests. "The establishment remains open for business. I hope you find joy in this." He then stepped away from the stage. The dam collapsed. Morgan. My mother was on her. Her feet moved with purpose, the Valentino gown swirling elegantly around her ankles as she approached our table with determination. Her face contorted in a fierce display of anger, not at Vivian, not at herself, but at me. "What did you do?" she spat, jabbing a perfectly groomed finger pointed towards me. "What did you say to Daniel? You've messed up your—" "Mom, I didn't. You've always been envious of her," I said, referring to my sister's wedding. The mother's voice escalated into a piercing shriek, cutting through the hesitant whispers that were starting to weave their way through the crowd. "You couldn't bear to witness her joy, could you? You had to turn Daniel against her." Vivian had crumpled into her chair at the head table, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Her meticulously crafted moment of triumph had shattered into a very public nightmare. My father stood beside my mother, his expression unyielding. "What did you say?" "Him, Morgan?" "Behind our backs." "What did you say?" "I didn't reveal anything to him. I hardly exchanged words with him." "Deceiver." Vivian's voice sliced through the ballroom. Standing now, her Vera Wang gown appeared to taunt the chaos surrounding her. "You've been attempting to change him. From the very beginning, it seemed like you were set against me. You couldn't allow me even a single moment of joy, could you? Just one flawless day." I sensed the story unfolding, shifting in real time. The guests who had been laughing just moments before were now regarding me with a different gaze, not with compassion mingled with doubt. Surely she must have played a part, Perhaps the sister instigated this, poor Vivian. I witnessed it, unfolding. The alteration of the past right in front of me. In mere minutes, I had shifted from being a victim to becoming the villain in the perceptions of 200 witnesses. It dawned on me that if I didn't leave immediately, this will be my mark. The envious sister who ruined her sibling's wedding for all time. Have you ever found yourself in a scenario where you were unjustly accused of something you didn't commit? Where the truth was distorted to fit a narrative? You see yourself as the antagonist, I get it. I realize now that I'm not the only one feeling this way. Are you curious about what I did next? If you enjoy this video, it shows me that this story deserves to be completed. Now let's return to that ballroom. I glanced down at Ethan. His face was flushed and splotchy from tears streamed down his face. His tiny hands were clenched tightly against his chest. He was struggling. It feels incredibly challenging to summon courage, to grasp the reasons behind the world's abrupt shift into a cacophony of anger and fear. And in that instant, something changed within me. For 32 years, I had been the one who remained silent, the one who maintained harmony, the someone who took in every slight, every insult, every instance of being ignored. For the act of retaliation was not worth the turmoil. Yet this was no longer about my own struggles. This was about my son. I watched helplessly as his mother was torn apart, paralyzed by inaction. I rose to my feet, not with a sense of poise, I simply stood. I smoothed down my gray dress and lifted Ethan fell into my embrace. I didn't say anything to Daniel, I stated, my voice steady and unwavering. I didn't have to. They possess his eyes. He's seen you mistreat me for 2 years, and tonight he at last came to the conclusion that he could no longer endure it. My mother's lips parted and shut like a fish.